Okay, so this is a short video explaining the steps to take in order to draw a cone that has been cut by an oblique plane. So first things first, an oblique plane is a plane that rests at an angle to both horizontal and vertical plane. So if I open up an image of one here, you can see this orange triangle is our oblique plane, and it's resting at an angle to both the vertical plane and our horizontal plane. Where our oblique plane cuts our vertical plane, we have our vertical trace, and where it cuts the horizontal plane, we have a horizontal trace. So moving back to our question, we can see I've already started with our cone. We have the plan elevation, and I have our traces. So this is our vertical trace, and this is our horizontal trace. So in order to draw our cut surface, so our cut cone, what we first need to do is draw an auxiliary elevation. So moving over to our construction one, we can see I have extended our horizontal trace out. That is because we are going to be drawing our auxiliary elevation in the direction of our horizontal trace. So we can find the true inclination of our vertical trace to our horizontal plane. So in order to draw our vertical trace, what we first have to do is a little construction, as you can see. What I've done is I have marked off a random height between my xy and my vertical trace. And then at the bottom of that, I've extended it up parallel to the vertical trace that I've extended, and it is crossing our x1 y line, which is this perpendicular line here. Once we have our height here, we mark it off on our compass, and we mark it off again up in our auxiliary elevation, and that allows us to draw our vertical trace. So now what we are moving on to is bring up our heights. So the first step is to bring up the top of our cone and our two base points, so our extreme points on either side of our base. They're brought up and they're going to rest on our x1, y1, and we find our height from our original elevation, so it's going to be 50. So you mark off 50 along your line, and then we can draw in our cone. So as you can see in our original elevation down here, our vertical trace doesn't cut our cone. However, in our auxiliary elevation, it does pass through our cone. So in order to find our cut surface, then we're going to need a series of points. So the construction to find these points is as follows. Our first step is to extend a line from where our trace first cuts our cone. That's extended parallel to your xy the whole way across your cone. Then, as you can see, I have measured up 3 sixes. So you come up 6, 6, and another 6. And that creates a series of points. So before I move on here, first we're going to do is we're going to, from our first 6, we're going to draw a line that is also parallel to this line and our xy. We're going to draw a line out across our cone to where it hits the edge of our cone. Then where it hits the edge of our cone, we're going to get a radius. And with that radius, we're going to draw a circle and plan. So if I move on in our layers, we can see our blue lines are lines extended. The radius then comes from the center line of our cone to the edge. So the edge view, so you can see it's 14.7. The number is going to be different for everyone. It is just the principle that matters. So again, our radius is from the center line to the edge of our cone. So if we move down, that radius is going to be drawn here, so that's our circle. And where our blue line that we've drawn crosses our vertical trace, I have a point which I have brought back to our plan parallel to our horizontal trace. You can see it cuts our circle in 2 separate locations. That's going to give us 2 points. Them 2 points are going to be points along our cut surface. Now what we need to do is, you can see that was our first point. We're going to repeat this process for our second and our third point. So you can see if I hide our blue one, I'll show our red one. It's done again for the next point, and we get 2 more points down in our plan. It's done again for the final point in pink, and we got 2 more points. Now our next 2 points come from the extreme edges of our cone. So where our vertical trace cuts this edge and this edge here and here, we bring them points back down to our plan, and they're going to cut the center line of our cone here, and that is the last 2 points we need. So when you have all these points found, you're going to freehand draw your cut surface. So and now what we're moving on to is bringing our cut surface from our plan up to our elevation. So our first construction is bringing up our 2 points. So we're going to start with the 2 extreme points that we just received or just found. Bring them straight up, and you can see our heights are marked. So essentially it is where it crosses your edge of your cone. So you bring your point straight up, and you can find your points like so. Then you're going to repeat the process again with the rest of your points, finding your heights. And you will have a series of points. And that series of points is going to give you a freehand curve. And that is how you solve the question, how to cut a cone with an oblique plane.